Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Village You Don't See. This week, we're chatting with Becca Fox. Becca is an entrepreneur, mother, and wife. She's the owner of Frosted Fox Sweets, a bakery in Nashville, Tennessee, and also the founder of ESE Consultant. Becca spent a lot of time in retail merchandising, working at Walmart in various capacities. Becca has also consulted for various CPG companies. Becca, thank you for coming through and blessing us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be on here. And
Awesome.
congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Becca, first and foremost, I'm not going to talk about the cake you owe me because I
No,
remember way back in,
that broke my heart when you sent that.
I
Like,
know, way
sorry.
back 10 years ago, I think it was my son's, gosh, what's this, maybe third birthday, and everybody, while we worked together, was like, oh man, Becca makes the best cakes and everything. I wanted that cake, and I think you were out of town and you couldn't do it. So, anyway, I'll
Well, that's
hold
a
that
legitimate
against you.
reason.
Yeah. So I'll hold that against you till I get my cake. But so just tell me, how Frosted Fox Sweets, how did it all start, And I mean, you've been through corporate America and all that and been in
hmm
baking and, cake design and all that. But when you decided to say, okay, this is kind of where I'm going, how did
Yeah,
that all start?
yeah. And cut me off whenever if I'm talking too long. But I basically baked my whole life. I used to make a huge mess in my mom's kitchen. My grandmother used to make amazing cakes. She's a really, classic Southern cook kind of thing. And so I've always loved being in the kitchen as far as sweets go, but
Yeah.
I've always just baked. I say that just because I've always baked. So, um, I love different flavors. I love to try different things. I don't usually make the same thing twice. And I really started, I guess, baking a lot more when I joined like the bakery buying team at Walmart. So I used to buy cookies and pies and sweet goods, and it
Yeah.
opened
Yeah.
up my eyes to the whole world of food, like working with food scientists and professional chefs and going to search out trends in all the big, major cities in the US and some internationally and the food show. I mean, all of it was just like, wow, this whole world exists beyond the grocery store shelves. And so that didn't just spark my, buying creativity because we did a lot of private label and product
Yeah.
development stuff at Walmart.
Uh-huh.
But I, played around a lot on the weekends at home. My husband likes to cook too, so we thought that was always fun to experiment. So I say all that because I started. I would bake a lot of different things, but cakes always seemed to be something I would hone in on. And I'm not classically trained by any means, but I've been around a lot of amazing people that taught me different things. And so I'd start getting requests for like, could you make this? Or if I was helping to host a baby shower or wedding shower, I would usually do the desserts. And so people have kind of always known that about me. But
Oh.
I wasn't doing it regularly, probably until I moved to Nashville like 6 years. We've been here 6.5 years back here, but I'll stop there if you have any questions so far.
No, no, no.
I
So,
talk fast.
no, no, no. That's good. So, cakes is something you kind of honed in on. Was
hmm
that you just feel more comfortable with cakes? And I mean, I've seen you do
No, they're
cookies.
terrifying. They're
Oh,
terrifying.
but I
I
mean, your
think,
designs. I mean, when I watch your TikToks and Instagrams, I mean, you look zoned in like game time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think I thought I was gonna do cookies for a while, and I just don't have the patience for that detail. Like if you look at all the really nicely, intensively decorated, sugar cookies,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like very detailed. People are using projectors to really trace out the accurate lines. And I've tried a little bit of that and it just was not for me. I used to love, more bite-sized treats, but they're cute. They're not
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
challenge. The
Yeah.
flavors can be a challenge, but the design isn't. So I guess like 3 or 4 years ago, I had taken a little bit of a break from baking over the top sweets because Corey and I had gone over this whole like nutrition overhaul, and I was like, we've got to get the sweets out of the house. Like we're eating too
Yeah.
much. It's
Yeah.
it's
We all
not a
go
good
through
thing.
those. Yeah.
We all go through those, yeah. And so around Christmas time, I was like, gosh, I don't think I've baked a cake in at least 6 months. And I made one that was just this really cool peppermint white chocolate, like candy cane stripes on the inside. It was really fun for me. And I did a video. Like, if you don't want people to know about anything you're good at, never post a video. Because I started, like people would ask me about it, or do you make
Yeah.
cakes, or will you
You
make
have
one for
time?
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing, like, we've got two little boys, so I've been home full time with them, and then my consulting business I've been doing part time, and I would just bake kind of like a stress relief, and it was like a new challenge once a month. So when you say, like, why did you hone in on cakes? I think they're like a terrifying challenge because the layers can always like slide or tip. Like, you're
Yeah.
learning different techniques. The icing can be melty. The sugar could be too rough if you don't melt something correct. Whatever. There's always something different, but I think I like that. And it gives you a really big surface area to create some art. It's not this
Yes.
teeny tiny little thing. Like, it's like usually a pretty tall or wide, depending on the size, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
they give you a little bit of a wow factor, right? In the videos, you're kind of like, wow, that's really cool.
Especially seeing the before and after, I think is awesome just to see.
Yeah,
I mean, from your, I don't know if you draw the stuff, but to see how it comes to life, and you're like, whoa,
sometimes.
that looks exactly like this. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So
So
I
you
was, I
actually
basic,
go ahead.
oh wait, go ahead. No, you're good.
No, you actually hit on something I was going to talk about. You said you have your part-time consultant role, you have the Frosted Fox Sweets, you have two kiddos at home. So now going from your corporate 8 to 5, going in doing your job, or
Eight
maybe
to five.
Walmart
Who does
seven to
that?
six or 7 to 8. How has things changed being in this entrepreneurial world? Like, I mean, demand for
Yeah.
cakes, trying to balance everything, the kiddos, lovely boys too. I mean, I think our
Thanks.
boys are
So
about
are
the same
yours.
age. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I took, well, you know this because I saw you when I think I made my announcement at Walmart that I was
Yeah.
leaving. So I decided to take a year leave of absence from corporate
Yeah.
we waited like 7 years to have kids.
Yeah.
It was something that I was nervous about, but excited about, and we just were open to me not going back to work right away
Yeah.
and just see what our new family life looked like and dynamic and all of that. And I definitely, it was good because the fast pace really slowed down it was a different pace, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I very much missed like the community aspect of work, and then obviously like just all that brain stimulation and challenge and just
Yeah.
the energy and all of that that comes, from when you're a buyer, you get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a really exciting job, as stressful as it is. So I definitely miss doing something. But then we decided to move to Nashville. And at the time, it was pre-COVID. So you
Yeah.
weren't working from home as a merchant. That was like almost impossible.
Yeah.
And so I talked to them about some different options that I could do from Nashville. And it was all operations related, which
Yeah.
is a grueling schedule. And I
Yeah.
know that, from visiting so many stores and knowing operators. So parted ways with them and really was like, okay, what do you do when you're a former buyer? You don't want to work full time at an
Yeah.
office,
Yeah.
limited travel, and you want to make a decent amount of money. Like, what the heck should I do? So there's so many amazing people that poured into my career over the years, like, and mentors I've stayed in touch with, or former suppliers. And I just started to talk to them openly and say, like, hey, I'm not with Walmart anymore. It's a little easier to talk about what's next, and
Yeah.
what would you
Yeah.
suggest, and all of that. And that was when my first like contractor consulting position came open. So Milo's Tea Company, which is based in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
They're a women-owned business, family-owned business. I've actually known them since college because I
Oh.
interned for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then
Milo's
I used
tea.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, you know them from dairy. So
Yeah.
I used to, Mitch, who is an EVP there, he was a director at the time. When I interned, he hired me, and he's always just been a really good sounding board for business coaching and advice when I needed someone outside of the Walmart walls to kind of here's what's going on, or how would you approach this, or what should I do career wise, and
Yeah.
just a really good encourager. So he was one of the first people I talked to, and their company was growing so quickly, but their office support hadn't kept up with the growth and support they needed. And so they were able to bring me in to start managing some projects because they knew of my background and capabilities and all of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel like that's how my entrepreneurial like spark was
Oh
lit,
man.
I guess.
No, I mean
And I
that
had
is,
some more freedom,
yeah.
like when
Eh,
you're working a corporate grueling job, you don't have a ton of thought freedom and creativity because a lot of it's just pouring into what you're doing.
yeah, and you don't have time to even develop yourself or kind of, I mean, you develop on the job, but just also
Yes,
kind of as a person, right? In terms of what you're
yes,
trying to accomplish, you know,
it's
because
different.
yeah.
Hmm.
So now in this whole, you know, I will call you superwoman phase, you know, doing
There you
everything,
go.
right? Mom of
Yep.
the year, you know, the bakery, and I know you blog. I know you're a big
Hmm.
blogger, and also doing the consultant thing part time.
Hmm.
Like, what motivates you to continue to go to say, hey, I don't want to get to the point where I feel like I'm back in the 9 to 10 job. So what
Yeah,
motivates you, and how do you balance that?
I think I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, so I wouldn't completely just make stuff up on the spot, be like, I don't know. Not that I would make things up, but you know what I mean.
No.
The I think what was really good about starting the consulting and some of what I learned from probably my final few years at Walmart was I stayed a little more open-minded versus I don't know how I'd approached business before. Where I was like, only these standard suppliers are the ones that will grow your business,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
these standard categories are what you go after. Like, I feel like there was more of this open collaboration and discussion and leaning into categories that maybe weren't as sexy to grow, but
yeah.
they were important, or you know what I'm saying?
Or where
Or
the puck
I don't know.
was going, but it wasn't there then.
Right, yeah. And so I think it translated with like I said, when the entrepreneur kind of spark was, I think it's always been there, but
Yeah.
just actually activating it hadn't happened. And like the same month I started Milo's, I started two other businesses.
Yeah. Oh my
So
goodness.
I started my friends knew I like to cook. Again, never post anything you don't want people to know about. Um, in Nashville, a lot of my friends hate to cook. I feel like that's a fairly normal trend in America. If you don't
Yeah.
like to cook, you're not gonna, because there's so many options. And she was like, hey, my friends and I are just as busy as you are, but we don't like cooking. We would pay you to make us like ready to eat meals
Mm.
that not necessarily like healthy, but wholesome and just a nice weeknight, pop it in the oven, everything's
Yeah.
done. So I kind of dabbled in it then, but right after I started, I found out I was pregnant with Drew. And so the smells were
Oh
like
man.
killing me. And like I was touching like 20 pounds of raw chicken in a day to
Yeah.
like cook it from scratch. And that was important to me to do things like from scratch at the house. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I tried that for 6 weeks. Like it was successful, but I don't want to do that. Like I'm not interested at all.
Yeah. It can actually
So
be demanding too, because you also are probably, I like to cook too, but also you want to taste your food. You want to make sure it's consistent, and you're putting your all in it, right? Because it's
yes,
not like you're cooking dinner in your house, worst case scenario, or someone in your house say, well, this chicken tastes funny. You're still eating it. You know what I mean?
right. Yes,
So
I
a lot of that
totally.
pressure.
And it's just so different cooking for 20 families versus yours. And
Yeah, yeah,
it was great. But the thing it taught me was like, okay, so this went really well. I'm not enjoying it. I guess I can just stop and back away and just say I'm not doing it. Like
yeah,
that's not my personality to just stop something.
yeah,
Usually I'll just keep going. And so that was my first like, let's not do that. And then the other business, there's that whole world of direct marketing, or what do you call it, MLM marketing and stuff like that. So I
yes,
started
yes,
that Rodan and Field skincare business too, because the premise was very interesting to me, and I had some skincare problems too. So I was
yeah,
like, okay, and so I've tried that whole world too, and while I think it's great for some people, it was long term not a great fit for me.
yeah,
But having those three things starting at the same time, everyone thought I was crazy. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? But I've always kind of had a rotation of different business opportunities, and I lean into certain ones more at certain times, maybe based on family stuff or what the client needs or what I'm pursuing. And like right now, it's a different season. So you could say back in, usually at the end of a year, my client projects slow down. Like I'm on
Yeah.
kind of a retainer program with them, so I'm an available consultant as much or as little as they need for the
Yes.
most part. And usually projects will slow down at the end of the year, kind of January start to get some momentum, and then, I'm back to a normal schedule. Well, that had not really happened this year, which to me was a little bit of a blow. Like, am I failing at this or what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
something happens. And I had gotten a third client over the holidays. That was a good short term. It was like a 12-week project. So that
Right.
was a little different. And that was really good. So I
Yeah.
just kind of come off the momentum thinking, like, I'll keep growing this consulting business, maybe even bring on someone else to help me. I don't know. And then January came and I'm like, I don't think things are changing. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Well, kind of flashback a little bit to the last 2 years. I've been doing like a monthly cake challenge almost a month, and people kept asking me, will you do this for my family or this for a birthday? So I was making these really nice cakes for free.
Yeah. 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 Is that the ones you've been posting to?
A lot of them, yeah,
Yeah.
for other people. And I was happy to do it, but it got real sticky to determine, like, who's the friend I make it for?
Yeah.
How do I say no to this person? How do you even do, like, that's not
Yeah.
even kind and fair to me?
Yeah.
And so it had been in the back of my mind, like, do I do something with this? I know I don't want a retail space right now, but Tennessee has really good baking cottage laws where you can start out of your house
Yeah.
with, minimal overhead. And
Yeah.
so this comes back to like that collaboration and being open. My friend Misha, her husband's an executive chef for a new restaurant in Nashville that's very successful, and she herself is a classically trained chef. Amazing person. She started a sourdough business out of her house a year ago,
Yeah.
and in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, but she didn't want to do cake. She'd gotten some requests for it for some of her. She'll do seasonal boxes, so
Yeah.
you may be able to get one of her breads, her dips, different things for Valentine's or Mother's Day or whatever. That's like a big blowout gift kind of thing. And she wanted a cake for Valentine's, and so she was like, "Hey, let's do this. Like, you
Yeah.
can do cakes. Like, we work well together.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. This is a hobby. I don't want to turn a hobby into a business. I don't think you need to do that
Why
to,
not? If you enjoy doing it. Yeah.
well, I didn't want to interrupt the joy it brought to my life. There are
Yeah.
certain things
Yeah.
I'm
I know. I
protective
know.
of. You get it, right? So
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
I wanted to protect it a little bit because some things are just mine. I don't have to share it with everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And so I was nervous. And then there's a different pressure that comes with charging people a decent amount of money for something they're going to eat. It's like, I just didn't know if I was ready or not. And so I kind of jumped in with both feet. I did 64 cakes my first weekend.
Whoa. 64 cakes. Oh
People
my
like freaked
goodness.
out. Yeah. Like the orders were insane, and I offered too many varieties. They were too complex, but they were good.
Mm.
And we partnered on, I think, 4 or 5 more through Mother's Day. And she was like, okay, take your training wheels off. Like, go do this business. Like, you can do it. And I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
No, I like doing it with you. So it's really good encouragement and just, empowerment of another business owner to me of, hey, you've got this, and do
No,
what you're
no,
comfortable with, but go
that is
for it. So
actually
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That
she's
that
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so you get someone, and we name the name of the show is The Village You Don't See, and people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, in everybody's life and everybody's career. And I mean, you mentioned
Hmm.
two people in your village. I mean, you talk about the person at Milo's that you pound something off of. Those are so when people see Becca Fox, they don't see all those people. They don't see the chef
Right.
like that you just talked about and said, hey,
Hmm.
let's go do this. We got 64 cakes, and now say, hey, you know, but all they see is, Becca Fox, Frosted Fox Sweets. They don't know
Yeah.
all those conversations in the background, all that support group,
Right. Yep.
and definitely, Corey, your husband, I know, big, I
Hmm.
mean, your biggest fan, and the kiddos.
Yeah.
I've seen the kiddos do cake, decorations too online, and I thought that was cool. piping.
Yeah,
I saw them pipe. I'm like, man, they can pipe better than I can pipe, you know?
they do a pretty good job.
Yeah, and it was doing like the dots one. I'm like, whoa, good job, you know. But now let's zone it in. So when you kind of look at your, let's talk about your village a little bit. So when you
Hmm.
kind of look at your support group around you, you know, for you've made some difficult decisions because I know you're on the up and up, and you're like, hey, I'm taking a year off, right? Which
Hmm.
someone like you, high potential, you know, you're like, you know, I think everybody when you told me I met that, everybody was like, whoa, what's going on, you know?
Right,
And we always
absolutely.
had
Me too.
conversation. Yeah. So when you think about your support group, your village, so you know, just talk about some people in that village and how, when you have to make those decisions, how does it come about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely like my husband's amazing. You meet anybody and they're like, Corey's the best. I'm like, I agree. I'm like, I mean, I'm very likable, but he is 100% like a teddy bear. People just love him, and
Yeah. Shout out
he's
to Corey, by
amazing.
the way. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he's been the biggest blessing for sure. And like, well, our um anniversary this year is 14 years, so we're pretty proud of that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks. What are
Congrats.
you guys?
14 years is big, it's
Y'all been
big.
married a while, right?
Yeah, we're about the same. Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll be 15 this year.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
I
amazing.
know. I don't go to the U.S. Virgin Islands like you though. Every
Oh
holiday.
man, we were so sad we didn't go this year. We
I
did
know.
a big Florida trip, which was so fun, but I'm like, it is not the Caribbean.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Not the same. Yeah. Are y'all gonna go anywhere to celebrate?
I don't know. Still working on it. We're still,
Yeah.
I'll see how COVID looks and all that stuff, and
I
you know,
know, it's still so weird.
we're working through a lot of that. Yeah.
Well, Corey turns 40 next year and it's our 15 years, so we're like, we gotta do something, like
No, you
without the
have to. I
children.
mean, you have to. I mean, 40 years. You definitely have to. You definitely have
Yeah,
to.
it's big.
So Corey,
Anyway,
let's
so
say,
he's definitely the biggest.
um,
I think I'll tell you something funny. So I started exploring opening a bakery when we lived in Bentonville. There
yeah,
was no, remember they renovated the square and they're bringing in
yeah,
shops
yeah,
and restaurants, but there
yeah,
was no bakery. I think the closest one was in Springdale. And so, and I mean, that was like 10 years ago. It's
yeah,
forever
yeah,
now. And I
yeah,
talked to like the Chamber of Commerce person and I was, trying to figure this out. I was testing recipes at home and I'm like, do I want to do this? I don't
yeah,
know. And I ultimately, I didn't think it was the right time, but um, I used to, I used to stress Corey out so much with my entrepreneurial ideas. Like I always had ideas. It was just
yeah.
more bringing them to life. And like we would get in the biggest fights because he would think this was like I'd say, okay, here's like blah 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 and blah blah blah. What do you think? And he would think I was gonna launch it like the next day. So he would be like, "You're stressing me out with all these new ideas, Like what happened to like steady career, having a salary, like all that kind of
Yeah,
anyway. So
yeah, yeah,
so that we laugh about it now because now he knows. Like I'm usually just brainstorming or I had a dream about something or saw
yeah,
something cool in the store and he'll be like, okay, like let's talk it through. But like he knows that it will be a thought out process, like baby
yeah.
steps and whatever. So anyway, that's all of my entrepreneurial journeys. I think he's taken much better in the last 6 years than he would have,
No, I
10 years
mean he
ago.
was your sounding board, but you were like an
Yes.
incubator. I mean, every day
Yes.
was something new, and he was like, I can't handle this anymore.
Exactly. You're stressing me out, woman. Hush. Yeah. So anyway, but as far as village, it's kind of fun on the February Valentine, first cake I did. My
Yeah,
sister happened to be in town, and I thought it wouldn't interrupt our visit very much because she lives in Salt Lake City, so I don't see
yeah,
her a ton. Um, ended up like she was pitching in, my mom was pitching in, my dad, like it was like all hands on deck to try to get these done, from like folding the
yeah.
packaging
Oh
to,
my goodness.
helping unwrap butter sticks, all kinds
Yeah,
of silly things. And I think maybe it was a little rude. I planned it when she came and I realize that now, but it was kind of fun for me because everybody was there and
was yeah,
helping. And I thought that was special. So I still like, even though she's not in town, my mom
Yeah.
and dad are, and she'll still either help with the children, or she'll, like the other night she showed up. She's like, it sounds like you're really busy. Can I come wash dishes for an hour?
Oh,
I know,
hey,
like,
anything to play with the
and she brought
grandkids.
dinner. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she brought us dinner. It was
Oh
like
man.
amazing. So between her and Corey, and of course my dad's a supporter. He's just more of the silent supporter.
Yeah.
They're a huge help. So
No, no,
yeah.
that's awesome. It takes just everything. It's also the little things, and also the fact that you're now close to family and your village,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
you have access to them. But I hope
Yeah.
you guys got a picture while all of you are working in the kitchen getting those cakes out. That would
Yeah.
be
I
one
think that was
lifetime one if you definitely open the
that
bakery to have out there.
that might have been the first video I posted on Frosted Fox, I think, was
Yeah,
like a video of us doing stuff. I can't remember, but anyway. So yeah, they're a huge help. And then I've got all these, I tell people I'm very humbled by the response. And I don't say it, I mean, I'm very proud of what I'm doing. I'm working hard and things are good, but like
yeah,
the response of people is still like a wow to me. Just
yeah,
the custom orders or the reorders every week when I'm
yeah.
doing these pop-up things. And I've got all these fun like supporters and fans that will be my taste testers. So like one little kid up the street, he's
Yeah.
in second grade. He like loves to do videos and send them to me and like taste test for it with his parents. Or
Oh, that
I'll
is
have,
so cool.
it's so cute. Or I'll have friends in another neighborhood. She just loves cake and was one of the first people that gave me some really good encouragement after Easter cakes. And
Yeah.
she now, like, I'll just go deliver a box at her house and she and her family will send, so that's kind of fun to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
that
just
little
that community
community.
too. Um,
Hmm.
and you're definitely a great person, and your personality. Definitely. You just people cling up to you, and your mind is always working. I could always tell, like you're always thinking,
Yes.
what's next? What's next? Your mind was going. So one of the things I was gonna ask you, when you think about
Hmm.
frosted Fox Sweets, you think about your stuff. What's next for Becca Fox? What are you working on?
Yeah.
What is the idea you told Corey last night?
I can't tell you. No.
Okay, okay. NDA. Let me sign your
No.
NDA.
Yeah. I think in the back of my mind, I don't know if I want a huge company, but I've always wanted to build a brand of my
Yeah,
own with
yeah,
some kind of unique product.
yeah,
But I haven't pushed it because I know and this from working with so many vendors of all sizes, whether
yeah,
they're just starting out or is their first time at Walmart or they've been there for decades. Like, you see the true blood, sweat, and tears and money
yeah,
that goes
yeah,
into
yeah,
making things happen. And so
yeah,
I wouldn't say I've been nervous, but I've respected that
yeah,
and known. I mean, the whole reason I, you know, left Walmart was to have some freedom of time and space with our family. And
yes,
I know the kids are only little so long and they're only home for so long. Like, even
yes,
after Drew goes to kindergarten next year, like they're only there for, 12, is that right? 12 more years or something,
yeah,
13.
yeah,
Um, and so I think that's something I'll have to remind myself and I have tried to, is
yeah,
why I haven't really gone after something really, really big. There's been quite a few ideas that I was like, that's a winner. Like, I could partner up with this, business or this company or go after this. And I was like, I don't think it's the right thing to do
right now.
right now for the family. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard, but most of the time I'm okay with it. I have a lot of peace. And
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I think that's what's next, is kind of just figuring out like what
When is that
what could that
timing
look
for the
like?
brand? Yeah,
Yeah, what does it look like? How could it still be a good fit where it doesn't, I don't know. So,
it, it
but people
doesn't
ask me
change.
all the time with the bakery, like, what do you want to do? You open up your own shop, when you're going to do it? I'm like, there is no plan. And that, I had some freedom in that. Like, I would just say, I may not be in business next month. I'm trying to find out if I like doing this as a business, but
Yes, yes.
thank you in the meantime. So that's something that Corey definitely offers with the structure, stability, and consistency of his corporate job, is I
Yeah,
get to play a little bit.
yeah, yeah. And
So
honestly,
I
if
don't
you're
take it
getting all
lightly.
this the same amount, like you have a storefront, I think the mindset of, I mean, we've seen stuff like this new hybrid kitchens of restaurants where there's no restaurant front, it's just people sharing kitchens, right? And sending
Right.
food out, right? So
Yeah.
I think the mindset of business, traditional business, is actually changing. Like, do you
Yes.
really need, I mean, these dark storefronts is a big thing now, right now,
That makes
in
me
big
nervous.
cities.
Yeah. Yep.
So who people just care that you drop the cake and it's great and they taste it and they love it and the design is what they want. I don't think people necessarily care if it's a storefront or not storefront, but I
Right.
think, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. For
that
sure.
that
So
is
I don't
changing.
know really what's next, but I told Corey, I was like, if I zone into cakes, like I'm used to having two or three other things always going,
Yeah,
like what's the next thing?
yeah,
So and like I've backed off some of the blogging stuff. Like I tried that for I feel like a year, 2 years to just
yeah,
see if that could be a financial, benefit to us
yeah,
and figuring out all that. And that's just that world did not fit me at the
yeah,
time. So I've been as the cakes have come in and I get to still play with
yeah.
social media and having fun with all the different apps and stuff, like that has fulfilled that creative outlet. So I haven't put as much
Written,
into
yeah.
it.
Because the Instagram and TikToks now, you can just stay in the room, shoot something, post it quick. There's a little instant gratification. The blogging, you have to get your thoughts together. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
it's work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But I think now, and I think even sometimes now, I think audiences are changing too because they want that quick.
Right.
Let's see.
That's
There's
true.
so much visual aid than reading. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
because I know I watch most of the videos you post on Instagram. So I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how much of your blogs I'll read. I know I'll read it, but I don't know how often versus just seeing the kids and
Yeah.
seeing the kiddos play with it. I just,
Yes.
it's just that instant gratification, like, hey, see, watch. So
Yeah. Yep. I
before
agree.
we close and talk more about, tell people how they can order cakes, depend on if you want more cake orders. But
Mm.
let's play a little game. So,
Okay.
what's your favorite, vanilla or chocolate cake?
Oh, chocolate for sure.
Chocolate, okay. In terms of icing, butter icing or regular, which one do you like to work with the best?
Oh, I do buttercream almost all the time.
Okay, buttercream. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you like to do in terms of favorite colors to use?
Colors. I don't know. I mean, I love rainbow stuff, to be honest.
Rainbow.
My
Okay.
kids are always like, "What's your favorite color, Mom?" I'm like, "I love all of them."
Rainbow, I guess.
But I think what I've learned more than color is like I love texture.
Texture. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I like am baking a lot of crust onto my on the bottom of the cake, so you don't
Yeah.
just get the cake experience, but then you get a little nice like cookie crunch or a brownie
Yeah.
extra, brownie bite, whatever. And then the icings that are fun to work with are the ones with like the funfetti with the sprinkles in it,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah. Yeah.
ground
They
up
always look
Oreos,
awesome.
or yeah, yeah, all of that. I really like all the kind of inclusion type things more
My
than the
my kids are all
color, I
about
guess.
sprinkles. I'm like, what's it about the sprinkles?
Good,
They've been around
as they
forever.
should be. Sprinkles and glitter for everyone.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen. Uh, Becca, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate this, just talking to you, catching up on what you're up to. Before we go, do you want to give people your Instagram? People that live in Nashville,
Yeah,
Tennessee, or anywhere closer, maybe
yeah,
35 minutes, 30 where you can drive.
yeah,
Check
yeah,
out
absolutely. And
Frosted Fox Sweets. Is that the
yes,
Instagram handle, right? That's the right Instagram
that's the
handle.
Instagram handle. I have a Facebook page for it, and then I think my TikTok is my name. It's Becca Fox TN.
Okay,
I
Becca Fox TN, meaning
on
Tennessee. As the country
Tennessee.
people say,
Yeah.
Tennessee, but Tennessee. So check her out. Check her Instagram out. Order your, bar mitzvah cakes, happy
Right.
birthday cakes. She does everything. You can see all
or
those
or
cakes on
just
it.
because cakes,
Oh,
right? You don't
just
have to have a
because, right?
reason.
Like sometimes you just gotta say, honey, you've been working hard. Here's a cake.
Yes.
Make your kids happy. Life is
Yes.
short. We need to celebrate every day, the
Yeah.
real
I
life.
just
So
launched Yeah, I just launched my fall flavors and then I'm about to do game time. So for all the like
Oh, yes,
sports
yes.
stuff.
Becca,
Mm-hmm.
tell them. So let's go. If you're Vanderbilt, Tennessee, oh, I should have said Tennessee State first, right?
That's okay.
The Vanderbilt, Tennessee State. Who's around you guys again? That's it.
University of Tennessee. Yeah,
University of
Tennessee
Tennessee.
State.
Yes. Order your cupcakes or
MTSU, all
fruit
of it.
cakes. Yes. Make sure you go to Frosted
Yep,
Fox Sweets. Okay,
there you
guys.
go.
Instagram handle. Tennessee.
Yep.
We're in here. Becca Fox, thank you for blessing us.
Thank you. This is so fun.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for another episode of The Village You Don't See. I'm your host, Mola Deji, talking to Becca Fox. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.